Now what I want to do, I want to call this method using subclass. It means in a subclass in this class, or we can say I want to call this method in this class. Okay, but if I do like this, I equals to new inherit, and if I say I dot calculate, then I cannot do like this because this class does not have calculate method. But I will not write that method again. What I will do, does anyone class implemented this method? Yes, A implemented that method. Then what I will do, I will extend to A class extends. This is a keyword extends. And now what will happen? All the properties of A class will come into inherit table. Now you can see here we do not have any error. We are able to call calculate method. Here you can see sum equals to 11. Now we are able to call this calculate method using this subclass, although it does not have any implementation of calculate method. With the help of extends keyword, we achieved inheritance, and we are calling superclass properties into subclass. Clear? Is that clear? Now we see polymorphism. This is second object-oriented concept, polymorphism. Polymorphism means ability to present in different forms. Poly means more than one, and more.
Your question.
Yeah.
This previous slide, the program. If I say instead of class, in addition to class A, I have another class B, wherein I have a multiplication.
Okay.
So can that also be inherited in this public inherit demo?
No, at a time you can extend to one only because multiple inheritance is not allowed in Java.
Okay.
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 Okay. So definition of polymorphism is ability to present in different forms. Poly means more than one, and morphism means forms. To maintain code cleanliness and ability to define a behavior that's specific to the subclass type, we do polymorphism. With the help of method overloading and method overriding, we achieve polymorphism. Method overloading is to maintain code cleanliness, and method overriding is the ability to define a behavior that's specific to the subclass type. That we will see in a program how. Then two types of polymorphism. One is static polymorphism, another is dynamic polymorphism. In static polymorphism is also called as compile time polymorphism, and dynamic polymorphism is called as runtime polymorphism. Static polymorphism is called compile time polymorphism because it executes at compile time. Okay, means why it is called a compile time polymorphism, because when we execute program at that time, compiler know which method call should be binded to which method body. That's why we call it as a compile time polymorphism. How we achieve it? By using private static final keywords. If we use private static final methods in method overloading, then that is called as static or compile time polymorphism. And in runtime polymorphism, we use non-static or non-private or non-final methods to achieve method overloading. So
what
that
is
is
the
what
difference between method overloading and method overriding? What is the difference between that, overloading and overriding?
Yeah, method overloading is we do it for code cleanliness. Okay, to maintain a code cleanliness. For example, you can take value of method in Java. Value of method, the method will be same. Suppose what you want to do, you want to write a method which will be executed differently if I pass some different parameters.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if I send int value, then it will execute some different implementation. If I send character value, it will execute some different implementation. So here,
Yes.
yeah, here method name will be same always, but parameters will be different. So here what will happen? You no need to create methods like value of int, value of float, value of char. Okay, you just say value of method.
Yes, sir.
Every time, yeah. So that's why we do method overloading. This is the first thing. Then we saw what is static polymorphism, what is dynamic polymorphism. We will see some examples of polymorphism. First of all, we will see static polymorphism. In that, we see method overloading. Static polymorphism method overloading. We'll take here double data type. Okay. Understand. To implement method overloading. Static. Now create object of class static p method over s equals to name here I want to overload this one method. I'm having two float values. I will say 10.2 0.2 or say 3.
क्यों ऐसे कर रहे हो? चिंगली दुख रही क्या? कम काम करते
तो थोड़ा आराम दो ना।
उसको आराम करने के लिए 2-3 खून वाले पिक्चरें दिखानी होगी है ना?
Okay, so this is method overloading. Here what we are doing, we are writing one method called calculate, and parameters will be different. I want to overload this one calculate method. So I will pass two float values. When I want to call such a method which has two float values, for float we should send f with it. If we want to call double such a method which has double values, then we have to give like this directly decimal point values. But I want to call floating point values, then I will give like this f and f after values. When I run this, then this method will be called. Here I am parameterized method multiplication is this, and double parameterized method multiplication is this. And this here you can see I am in two float parameterized method. Multiplication is 430.36. This one method is called. To call this method or to overload this method, give two double values s dot double type of values 10.5 and 12.6.
Both of them should be double only, na? A and B in this.
Yes, yes.
But you have defined one double and one float.
Yeah. Here we need to give f after decimal.
And D here given, na?
Yeah, please.
So for double, do we need to specify D or it's okay? I don't think we should need to.
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. No need to specify anything. Directly write decimal point value for double and give f for decimal point values. That will execute. At second, we'll comment this. I am in two double parameterized method. In fact, this is I am in double comma float parameterized method. I am in double float parameterized method. Multiplication is this. In the same way, to overload this, we will create object, we will call method, and we'll pass two integer values. This method will get overloaded. This is called method overloading using static polymorphism.
How is it different from the constructor overloading that we had seen yesterday?
Yeah, that is for to initialize values. This is for to perform some operations, various types of operations. So yesterday what we did, we assigned some values, different set of values to same variables, instance variables. At every time, we were not needed to take as many numbers. Okay, so for to do various types of operations for different set of values, it was not required to take a separate variable for all values. What we are doing, we are passing those values to same variables. We are doing some operation. Then again, we are passing different set of values. We are doing some operation. Okay, so this was advantage. So it's for to initialize values.
Okay.
And the method is to achieve different tasks, to complete different tasks or to complete different operations.
Okay.
Another difference with constructor is, if you remember, in case of constructor.
Yeah, it will have a same name as class name. Constructor will have,
Yes.
and method will have.
No, I'm not telling about name. There is you
Yeah, this is
asking,
also one difference. Yeah.
one more difference I want to add. See, in case of constructor, if you notice, there is no direct call for that method.
Yeah, it's explicit call, that is implicit call. That also explained yesterday. Yeah. That I explained yesterday, that constructor is implicitly called and method is explicitly called.
Yeah, method you need to explicitly call. You see, you have created an object, then you are calling s.calculate.
Yeah, I already explained that. Yeah, yesterday I explained that a constructor implicitly called and method explicitly
you
called.
explained. I just told because he asked the difference. I just told.
Yeah. For revision, you can say if you want to say anything, but we covered that point here.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Hello.
Sir, here you have defined three methods with three different types of, so private, static, and final. So what is difference if you doesn't define that one?
Then that will become runtime polymorphism.
Okay. This will what private, static, and final. It will do separate that methods for static polymorphism. This type.
Yeah. If you give private to method or static or final to methods, then it will be static polymorphism, means compile time polymorphism. Why? Because at compile time, compiler understand that I have to bind this method to this one, this method called to this method body. This is understood by compiler at compile time. Why? Because we written here final. Either we write final or static or private, that will go in compile time polymorphism, and compiler will understand the which method call should be binded to which method body. So if we don't give this, then compiler will not understand, and that goes into runtime polymorphism.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now we'll see dynamic polymorphism.
But
There
if we give private all for all three.
Yeah, we can do that.
So is there any difference between if we give private and if we give static?
Yeah, there will be difference. Private method will be accessible within only class, but static method can be accessed outside class. This is the difference.
Okay, and about final?
And final method cannot be overridden. That is its specialty. It means we cannot override final method. That we will see in method overriding. Okay. Also, yesterday I told about static and instance variable, difference between instance variable and static variable. So those all things applied here for static method and private method. Okay, private we can call it here as an instance method, and static method here is a static method. And whatever differences we saw yesterday with variables, instance variable and static variable, that all are applied to instance variable and static variable here, private method and static method here. Okay.
So this means if we don't put anything, if we directly write void calculate, then it will be instance type.
Yeah, it will be instance. If I don't write static, then it will be instant. If I write static, then it is not instance, it is static method.
Okay.
Let's go ahead with dynamic polymorphism. Take the same program. change this dynamic to dynamic polymorphism method overloading and remove these keywords private, static, and final. Keep this instance method. If I keep this instance method, then this will be dynamic polymorphism method overloading. I am in double float parameterized method. Multiplication is 132.30. Okay. In dynamic polymorphism, in static polymorphism, we cannot do method overriding, but in dynamic polymorphism, we can do method overloading as well as method overriding. Can anyone tell why we cannot do method overriding? Okay, first we will see what is method overriding. Then you will understand the reason behind that.
This thing.
Yeah.
In the program, can we go back to this program?
Yeah, please.
This where we have defined the object below. So new static, this new should be dynamic, no?
This one.
This should be the name of .java file, no? This instead of static p method override, it should be dynamic p method over, no?
Yeah. We should create object of our class. This is a change. Yeah, obviously, we are calling our class method. Then we need to create our class object. Dynamic p method over.
No, why this isn't given the error? Because the name we are different.
dyna dynamic. This should be the name to here, and this should be name here to create object. Okay, clear? Okay, let's go ahead. Dynamic polymorphism method overriding. DP, dynamic polymorphism method overriding. write a program to writing polymorphism. This is a class. This is superclass. This is subclass. Now, what is the requirement? User don't want to call this method. This method's implementation. Okay, user want to call a same method but with different implementation. In that case, this class can extend to superclass and he will provide his own implementation. This calculates division. We want to do subtraction. Here what happens when I say employee E equals to new employee and E dot calculate 50 and 5. Now what happened? This class calculate method will be called and division operation will be performed. Okay, we check this. I run this Java application. Here you see it's a division, it's not a subtraction. It's a division, means this method is called because we created object of employee class here. That's why this superclass method is called. But if I want to call subclass implementation, then what I will do? I will do like this: employee E equals to new. I will assign subclass method overriding. This will be E2 dot calculate 20 and 6. I comment this. Now you can see this calculate method will be called. This one implementation will be called instead of this because we are assigning subclass object to superclass reference variable. If you run this, then it will do subtraction 20 and 6. It's not doing any division. Here you can see subtraction equal to 14, subtraction equals to 14. This one implementation get called. So this is called method overriding, or it is also called as dynamic dispatch. Why we do this? Because to provide different implementation, to use same name but to provide different implementation to a method. If particular class want that I want to execute different implementation for the same method, in that case that subclass, that class will extend to superclass and that class will provide implementation to that method, its own implementation, and will create a reference variable of superclass. When we say like this, employee E2, so this is called reference variable and this is called object creation. we are assigning object to it. Okay, so we create a reference of employee and we will assign object of subclass. Whoever subclass we assign, that subclass method will be called. This is called method overriding. Simply, the purpose is to implement, if a particular class want to implement his own implementation for the same method available in superclass, in that scenario we do method overriding. Getting? Now one thing is, can we do method overriding here with
So it means that in the
Exactly.
first case we had created the object, and in second case we had created a inheritance. Is it not? Here we had created the object.
Not inheritance. No. What is the difference between inheritance and method overriding? What we were doing in inheritance, we were acquiring all the properties of superclass into subclass.
Yes.
Superclass into subclass. But
Subclass,
here
correct.
what we are doing? Yeah, but here what we are doing? We are assigning subclass to superclass.
Okay.
At that, yeah, there what we were doing? We were simply creating subclass object.
Yeah,
like
subclass
this,
object.
overriding.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. So what is this called? Second method, what is this called?
Which one? This?
Second. Second.
Yeah, this is called, this is used to achieve method overriding.
Okay.
Means I want to execute this class implementation of calculate method. Okay, that's why I am assigning the object of this class.
Okay,
to
here.
reference variable.
Okay. In first case, we are assigning object, creating object of the superclass.
Yeah.
In second case, we are creating object of the subclass.
We are creating reference variable of superclass, but assigning object of subclass.
Okay, we are creating reference of superclass and assigning object of first class.
Subclass.
Subclass.
Yeah.
Sir, in case of we create an object of subclass, then which method it will call?
It will call subclass. Subclass method will be called. Yeah, that will be. Yeah, that is a general way how we create object and call methods. That will not be then in method already. Yeah.
Okay, but it will extend the all characteristics of superclass. Then also it will not call superclass method.
Yeah, it has all properties of superclass, but it will not call this one because we are assigning subclass object to superclass reference variable. That's why it will not call superclass property. If we want, we can call.
No. What I am, if we create object of subclass only, here you have created superclass reference with.
No, what he is asking that here we have created reference object of subclass. So instead of that, only subclass object if we create.
Instead of that, if we.
Please tell one.
Then which? Okay, if you create, sir, object of subclass only, DP method overriding D2, that previous statement you are written.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Yes, DP equals to method overriding. Okay. Now, if I do DP dot calculate, then what happens? Is it your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is one case. We'll cover one by one. This is case one. This is case. This is case 3. Let me comment this one part, and if we run this, then this will be like in a general way how we create an object of class and call a method. So here no any reference to superclass. Okay, so that's why here subclass method will be called because we are passing object of subclass.
Okay.
One more thing we can check. If I don't write this method, then what happens? Now, which one will called? superclass,
Then it will call superclass. Okay.
right? Division equals to 4. If we don't write this method here, then what will happen? Then it will show error that either subclass does not have calculate method, nor superclass has that calculate method. Both class will not have that method, then it shows the error that this method is not. But if it is, what it do, it checks first in subclass. This is the object of subclass. If subclass has that method, it will call. If subclass does not have, then it will check whether this extends to any superclass. Yes, it extends. Then whether that superclass has any method, it checks. Yeah, it has. Then it will call superclass. If both does not have, then it will become Python error. Okay.
Sir, that subclass just you have done for superclass employee, you have created that reference object. Same way for subclass, we can create a reference object of superclass.
Like this.
Uh,
Yeah, you want to say like this.
Reverse
Can
of
we,
it.
I got it. You want to ask like this, right? So can we assign a superclass object to subclass reference variable, right? Is it your question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we cannot do like this because assigning subclass to superclass is allowed, but assigning subclass to superclass is allowed, but assigning superclass to subclass is not allowed. You can remember this.
Okay.
How you can remember this? Superclass will have some more properties. It will be in a bigger context. Subclass will be used in a small properties, less properties context. Okay, definitely it's a parent witness. It may have some more properties, and subclass means it is deriving to parent. So it may. So you can, to remember this, you can imagine like this. So this is the rule that we cannot assign subclass object to superclass. Sorry, we cannot assign superclass object to subclass, but we can assign subclass to superclass. Some more special cases we can see in inheritance. Just a second. Yeah, that's the same thing we can see here. That will be applied in method overriding as well. If I do here, okay, I will write and you can tell, you will guess what will happen. Okay. Let me do in overriding. Take some simple name. Okay. This is a little bit method overloading demo. Demo 2. Now you can tell here we have superclass employee subclass m demo p main method. This has also calculate method, and superclass also has calculate method. Superclass and subclass both has calculate method. Now anyone can tell me in this case which one method will be called, superclass or subclass?
Superclass.
Okay, good, very good. Superclass will be called. Why superclass called? Because here we are passing object of superclass.
Superclass.
Okay. Now, second case. Here, which one calculate method will be called?
Subclass.
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 Correct, correct. Good. Because it's a subclass object initialization. Yeah. In this case,
Superclass method.
no.
No. It will give error. It is not allowed.
No. This is a method overriding.
Correct.
Yeah.
Subclass method again. Subclass
Yes.
method.
Yeah.
Plus
Subclass and superclass is allowed. You can see if it's calling subclass method, then subtraction will happen. You can see subtraction is happening. Let me comment this. Subtraction equals to 40, right?
Correct.
Let's comment this and check next part. In this case, what will happen? Subclass object, we are assigning parent class object to subclass object.
Not allowed.
Not allowed. At compile time itself, this is the advantage of STS or IDs, that at compile time itself it says this is an error, this is not allowed. Type mismatch cannot convert from imply to MDB. This is not allowed. Then if I do like this, what happens? This one, in case 5, can anyone tell?
Subclass.
Again, subclass method. Subclass method.
Subclass method. Correct. Subclass. Okay. One more case can be done. If vice versa of this. If I assign E3 to M3, okay, that will be same like this one.
Case 4.
Case 4.
Case 4. Case 4.
That will be like case 4. Okay. These are various scenarios. Okay. Now we go ahead. We see encapsulation. Just a minute. Okay, this is third object-oriented concept, encapsulation. Okay, it means we encapsulate something somewhere. Okay, wrapping up data into single unit. For example, if I have lots of things, but out of that, I want to select some and wrap into a single unit and to keep it at a separate in a single unit. For to achieve such a kind of thing, I go for encapsulation. Okay, we do encapsulation to hide internal implementation from user. Also to provide security to our data members. Data member means variables, methods, constructors, blocks. These all are data members of class. To provide security to our data members as well as to hide internal implementation or to restrict some to keep some restrict to some data members, we do this encapsulation. Okay, if I want to do, if I think that this method 1 and this second variable should not be accessed outside class, then I will make it as a private. Then what will happen? This will come into a single unit, which is a private unit. In this two variable 2 and method 1 will be binded in a single unit called private unit. Okay, so this is a separate unit. If I say third variable and second method should be accessed everywhere, so I will make it as a public, then that will be encapsulated or wrapped up into a separate unit called a public type of unit. Okay, so this is actually using encapsulation. We achieve it using access modifiers, public, private, protected. These public, private, protected are keywords. Words, we can say vocabulary set of Java. In first session we saw there are 36 keywords, words of Java, which are called vocabulary of Java. And out of that, these three are keywords, public, private, protected. These are having predefined meaning. Keyword means what? Which has predefined meaning in Java. Public means accessible everywhere, private means within class, and protected we will see in program. One more scope is there, that is default scope. If we don't implement public or private or protected scope, then that becomes default scope. Okay, that also we will see in a program. I have this class. I have one class here, class A. Just a moment. I have class A, class B, class C, this will be my superclass. This will be subclass. This will be non-subclass. I will declare 4 variables, int A equals to 10. This will be, I will make this as a public. This private. Public. This is variable B, this is variable C, this is D, and this is protected. This is, we are not specifying anything, means this is default scope. Okay, this has a different scope. If we don't specify any scope to variable that will be a default scope because that is a different scope than these three. That's why it's considered a fourth type of, we can say, scope. Okay, these are three scopes, and out of that we use basically these three for encapsulation, but this is also one different type of scope. Okay, it's not an we can say it's not an access modifier. Only three access modifiers are. These three are called access modifiers. If we don't specify access modifier, then it will be default scope. Let us see which will be accessible where. Okay, private will be accessible within class where it will be accessible. Then B will be accessible where, C will be accessible where, and will not be accessible where. Okay. This other extends to. Also, we can take one more another file in cap demo 2. Extends here. So one more package we will take to check which member is outside package available, accessible, and which one is not. To do that, we take another package called incap pract2. It has one more class called incap demo 3. Yeah. Incap demo. Let's see one by one. Here, I write one method of. Before that, we will try to access it within the same class. Which one member will be accessible and which one will be not. We'll try within class. Method of will void. Equals to a. Anyone annotating? Method of a. Let's take another method called method of b. We are accessing. We are in non-subclass. This is here we need to create object because we are in non-subclass. A2.A, A2.B, A2.C, A2.D. See, within same class, everyone is accessible because private is having very less scope within class only. Public will have more larger scope. It will be accessible everywhere. Protected also have more scope than private, but not as compared to public. In fact, all members will be accessible, private, public, protected, default within same class, because minimum eligibility is private. Private will be accessible within class, and all other are having more scope than private. Then everyone will be accessible within class. And no need to call this method, okay, because at the time of writing only we are able to understand, because of this ID that is not showing any error means everyone is accessible. Here you can see class B extends A, method of B. In class B, I am trying to call these members which are outside class, and here A is not accessible because private members
Say
are not
private,
accessible. Yeah, private members are not accessible outside class. We comment this, and all others are accessible. It means, let's take one by one. Private is accessible within class only, but not outside class. It means it will not be accessible in subclass. It will not be accessible in non-subclass. This is non-subclass. It's not extending, so it's non-subclass. Because this is non-subclass, we must create object of superclass, and we are trying to call it with the help of that object. We are trying to call that private member. It's not accessible. So outside class, everywhere private member is not accessible. In subclass, in non-subclass. Also, we'll check outside the file. Okay, this is a in-cap demo file. In this, we saw it's not accessible. It's accessible with class, within class. It's not accessible within subclass. It's not accessible within non-subclass. Now we see whether this private member A is accessible outside the file, that is in-cap demo. Here we will try to accept that. What we will do, we will extend this class to A, because we want to call property of A class, that is A variable. Here we created object of our class, and let's call that A. I will try to print it. A equals to plus E dot A. Here you can see it's not accessible. It's showing here. A is not visible. A is class. Dot A, small a means its data number variable is not visible, because that's in private and we are trying to access outside the file. Also, we will see one more thing, whether it is accessible outside the package. This is another package, NCAP Tractor 2. In NCAP Demo 3, we will try to access that. We will extend A, but here one more thing come into the picture. I explained that. Here we cannot extend A because A is not public. Right? Here it's showing error. Here it's not showing error because we are using package. Okay, but outside package, A is not visible because A is having default scope. You can see it. Okay, it has default scope. We can make it public, okay, and can access over there, but in a file, only one class can have public. That's why what we should do then? We should do some different things. Yeah? Are you getting what we are doing? I want to access this property outside the package. Okay. This property is available in A class, that is in NCAP Pact. NCAP Pact is where it is. In this, there is an NCAP demo. This NCAP demo here. This is the file name. This is NCAP demo. Having named it. In this A class is there. I want to access this property A outside the package in NCAP demo 3. Then what I should do? I should extend this NCAP demo 3 to A, right? But this A is not a public. You can see here, this A is not a public. Okay, that's why it's not accessible. Then to check whether that private member accessible outside the package or not, for that what we will do, we'll write all to understand that concept. Okay, we will write these 4 members in this class because this class is public and this will be accessible. This class will be accessible outside package. That's why we will write all members in this class, and now we extend to NCAP demo instead of A. Demo extends NCAP demo. Yeah, now we do not have any error. Here we can check either we are able to access that private member here. NCAP demo 3 dot SYS equals to that's not accessible. You can see it's showing error. And NCAP demo dot A is not visible because NCAP demo में का ये जो private variable है वो private है. That is a private. That's why it's not visible, right? Means we are trying to access at different places in the overall application where it can be accessed. Either it can be within class, within subclass, within non-subclass, outside file, outside package. Okay. So is it clear for private member? Any doubt in this?
Sir, one query is there. Can we create a subclass of a subclass?
Class of a subclass. Okay.
Suppose,
This is a class B. Okay.
C can be a subclass of
Yeah,
class
we can
B.
do that. Yeah, we can. So this is a B is a subclass. We can create a subclass to subclass. This can be like this. Class C extends. We can do this. Now what will happen? This will be,
Using this,
yeah.
Using this we can access the properties of class A.
Yeah, we can access properties of class because class B has A's properties. That's why in C also class A's property.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. This is called intermediate base class. In such a scenario, this is called intermediate base class. Why? Because the class which acts as a base class as well as subclass, such a classes are called intermediate base class. This B acts as a subclass for A and superclass for C. That's why this class is called intermediate base class. Okay. Any doubt regarding this private member? Are you getting this concept? Yes, Ankit, Hemant, Jyoti, Kishore, Hinder, Krishan. Any doubt in this? Are you getting this point? Samir, Satish, Shantanu.
So private it is okay. For protected member, is that accessible outside of that file and package?
Yeah, that we will see one by one. Now public will
Okay,
be
sir.
accessible here. Yeah, but I want to
Okay,
make sure that have you understood this private member?
private it is okay, sir.
So simple. It means what? Outside class. If we go to access it outside class anywhere, that will not be accessible. Simple thing. Okay. But we saw it practically how it happens. Then public, vice versa, private. Near about, public is accessible everywhere within class, outside file, outside package, everything. B, we can see here we are accessing within class. Why we are not calling object of? Why we are not creating object of A and calling this method of A? Okay, because at the time of writing itself, we are able to understand that whether it has error or not. If B is not accessible, then it will show error. STS ID will show us error. Okay, that's why we need to call that. This is the advantage of ID. No need to create an object of a class and call this method of A and check whether this B is accessible or not. No need to do all this stuff because ID is helping us. It says I will do compile time check. If a compile time error, I will show you. This is not a compile time error because B is accessible. If B is not accessible, it will show error. Here, there is no error for B. Okay. Means accessible in subclass. If we do make this as a private, then immediately it will show error. You can see it. Right? So it's not showing error, then it means it is accessible. B accessible in subclass accessible. If you go to non-subclass, this here also it is accessible. Let's go outside file. Recap demo 2. Here I call the dot b पे कॉल किया अभी b equal to dot b. It's not showing error, so it public member is accessible outside file also. Now we check outside package. I call B and it will not show any error. It means B is accessible outside package. Okay. Here we public without. It is simple. These two are simple. Now this is protected. Protected will be accessible within class. Here you can see not showing any error. Accessible within class. Let us check in subclass. We do not have any. In subclass also it's accessible. In non-subclass accessible. It will be accessible. Protected members will be accessible within class, subclass, non-subclass, within package, and outside package. It will be accessed, but only in subclass. Okay. We'll see that. It is accessed within class, within subclass, within non-subclass, outside file. Here we write that C is our protected. C equals to P dot C. Here we are not getting any error. Outside file it is accessible. Outside package we see. P dot C. Here also we are not getting any error. So it is accessible everywhere, but it's in child class. Okay. If child class is there outside package, then and only then it will be accessible. It will not be accessible in parent class.
What is the significance of protected?
नहीं समझा, ये समझा नहीं, means child and parent class. Then what is the difference between B and C?
Yeah. Abhi, this NCAP demo 3 is a child class.
Okay, yes, because it is inherited from NCAP demo. Okay.
Yeah, if I do like this, suppose
Okay, if we had not inherited, then it will show error.
yeah, it means in parent class it's not accessible. In child class it is accessible. If we inherit, then it will call.
Okay.
And then again, what is the significance of protected? The C type.
Yeah, that is the same thing. Depends on scenario. Which scenario you want to achieve?
No, we have defined public, private, and protected, right? So what is the significance of what happens if we define it as a protected?
That will not be accessible in superclass outside package. Public will be accessible in superclass outside package, but protected will not be accessible outside package in parent class. That is a difference.
Similar is the case with private, right?
No, private is not accessible in with outside of class as well. क्लास के बाहर भी एक्सेस नहीं होगा प्राइवेट, वो पैकेज की तो बात ही नहीं है.
अच्छा, in the same package also क्लास के बाहर एक्सेस नहीं होगा वो.
हाँ, प्राइवेट का तो सवाल ही नहीं है, पैकेज का सवाल ही नहीं है, वो तो क्लास के बाहर भी एक्सेस
क्लास के बाहर भी नहीं आएगा.
हाँ.
And protected will be accessible outside the class but not in other package.
It will be accessible outside package. Protected will be accessible outside package, but in child class.
In child class. Okay, please go ahead.
Now we see default. This is a default. Default is accessible within class, within subclass, within non-subclass, outside file. Let's write here. And outside the package. It will not accessible. It is not accessible. इसको चाइल्ड रखते हैं, सी एक्सेसिबल रहेगा. NCAP demo .c. This is NCAP demo 3. Then let's create object of NCAP demo 3 and .c. Now we try to call make this B, this C, this D. D is not accessible. Outside package, default variable will not be accessible. Package is also same as default near about. Okay, but only the difference is it will be accessible in child class, but not in parent class. It means near about, default and protected are same, that they will be accessible within package, but not outside package. But the only slight difference is protected will be accessible outside package, but only in child class. Okay, so to remember, we need to remember this one thing. because public is simple, private is simple, that is easy to understand, but the difference between default and protected, both are accessible within package. Default is strictly accessible within package only, not outside package. Protected is also within package accessible. Outside package it will be accessible, but only in child class.
Actually, there is a popular diagram to explain this. If you stop sharing now, I will just share that image. Can you stop sharing once? Is it visible now?
Yeah.
See, this is one popular table which will explain the various scope of different types of default, private, protected, and public.
Yeah. Different package, subclass, different package, non-subclass. Yeah, okay. The same thing we did practically. Yeah, this is a good diagram to understand. Okay. To understand, this is a good diagram we can refer. But to do it practically, to understand how it happens practically, that we did. Okay, this is a good diagram. You can refer this for understanding purpose.
Sir, send it to WhatsApp group.
Yeah, sure. No, sir can share. Yeah.
So, any doubts in encapsulation? I hope it is clear now. It's a simple, okay, because private is simple, public is simple. Only the thing is protected. We know these are various types of classes, subclasses. User can write subclass, user can write non-subclass, user can create another file in which he can write a class and extend inherit properties of another file's class. You can write class outside the package. These all scenarios are there to write a class. And private is a simple, public is also simple, protected and default you should know. This is only within package. This is within package and outside package, but in child class. So any doubt? This is a simple thing. Yeah, okay. So today we will stop and tomorrow we will see abstraction.
So I have one instruction to all the attendees. See, the sir was showing, no, everyone should practice this. So seeing is something, but practicing is something else. So
You are
will
right.
practice it. Practice means there is no copy paste, as you might have seen how sir was doing. Every letter, every character you have to type one by one, no copy paste at all. So that will give you a very good grip in programming. If you copy paste, no, you will not understand the intricacies. So starting from the name, class, a, bracket, braces, in the beginning you should type everything. So initially you will have some trouble, but later on you will get very good grip. So you make it a practice. Make sure that you practice everything by actually typing on the IDE.
Yes,
Yeah, you are correct, Krishan. It means you can see there are some basic things that will come again and again in later topics. Okay, if we go to learn exception handling or any other topic, that time same things will come like class, object, methods, variables, data types. Okay, constructors, these keywords. So these things will come again and again. No need to learn differently for that. Okay, so only some different topic will come like why we do exception handling. Okay, but all the basics will be same in each topic. Okay, that's why it will be very easy if you once you do with basics, then it will be very easy to do programming. Okay, it's a one-time effort. Spend that, and even also if you go for other to learn other programming language or techniques, you get some idea, some knack how programming languages, how to learn programming languages fast, because this variable data types methods concept comes in all the languages. If you go to .NET, if you go to Python, any language, these things are same. The meaning of variable is same, meaning of method is same, meaning of class is same. Okay, so this is don't think like every time I should do more and more practice. It's not like that. At start you should do some practice. Later on no need to do more because you will get idea. Okay, so take some little bit effort at start so that you will understand further things as well.
Okay, you can share these programs also. I'll share in the group.
Yeah. And this is very important to practice at this stage because we are at basic level. If we don't do anything now, then we will not understand anything later on. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, then we stop here.
Okay.
Thank you very much
Okay.
for listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Good night.
Thank you very much.